In the middle of this, as people are saying, unprecedented school year, it's interesting to think about what brought me here today. What brought me to sitting at this desk in front of this school issued laptop, talking to a ton of students over a Zoom call, trying to educate them in what's important for calculus, how to derive, how to integrate, how to find the limits of things. I think about what brought me here today? What led me to this place now? I think it really all started when I was in third grade. I was a really good student, a really active student, and one of the best parts of my third grade experience was my teacher, Mrs. Colvin. She was the best. She would make sure that everyone felt seen, felt heard, felt loved, and she was just such a wonderful educator. At the end of the school year, Miss Colvin notified all of us that this was going to be her last year teaching, which, really did hurt me. I loved being able to see my other teachers, but I did ask her, could I keep your teaching materials? She inspired me so much that I wanted to be a teacher just like her, obviously not replacing her that year, but maybe in the future, coming back to teach other third graders the love and care that a teacher could give them. So I left that year, materials in hand. Super excited, I returned to my family to let them know what my future plans were. I knew what I wanted to be. I wanted to be a teacher. They didn't take it that well. A lot of them were bringing up the fact that I wasn't going to make any money, also saying that there was so much more that I could do with my skills and talents. One key figure that really stuck in my memory is my uncle, who told me that teaching was a terrible idea. It was just such a waste of time, and that I really, really should never do that. These people, who I loved and cherished so much, told me that this was a bad idea. And when you're young and learning about the world for the first time, trying to figure out who you are, you can't help but take what they say into consideration. And so I decided, I guess I don't want to be a teacher. If it's such a bad idea, there's no way that I'm going to go do it. So I stopped thinking about it for a while. I dropped Miss Colvin's materials and I didn't pick them up again. Well, I didn't pick them up again because I lost them eventually. It would have been nice actually to have them now. But nevertheless, I thought, well, not going to be a teacher, no need. Flash forward to many years later, I am now 18 and I have a beard. The reason being that I couldn't grow a beard during high school because I wasn't allowed to, our school didn't allow it, and I thought an act of rebellion as I go off to college, here I am, world, hear me roar. I was the first student from my school to get accepted and go to Harvard, which was really exciting for me, and I kept thinking about what the possibilities were for my life. What was I going to do with my skills and the opportunities that I had available to me here at this new university. It became clear to me that I really did want to teach in some way. I wanted to educate others, and so I thought, maybe I could try out the undergraduate teacher education program. I would see that it was possible for me to become a teacher during my time at Harvard, and that would be that. However, there were a lot of roadblocks in the way. It was incredibly difficult to sign up for the program. It was difficult to make it fit in with all of the other responsibilities and opportunities that were available to me there. And so I decided, I guess this path just isn't for me. Instead of teaching, I decided that I would try to go a bit more ivory tower and consider some topics that I just found interesting for the sake of studying them. Those topics being linguistics and neurobiology. I knew that I loved languages, I loved understanding how the mind worked, and I wanted to bring them all together. I also knew that I was probably going to end up being pre-med if I went down this path, taking classes like organic chemistry, biology, physics, chemistry, in order to get a better understanding and to prepare myself for the MCAT and medical school. The real goal of this would have been to be a doctor at a teaching hospital and to help out newer doctors learn what they needed to do. But I still felt kind of funky. I still wanted to be a teacher, and that's why it was such a magical event when the Harvard Teacher Fellows program started my sophomore year of college. This was an opportunity for me to go into teaching while still pursuing the degrees that I was following. I was able to start my teacher training the spring semester of my senior year and go into the fellowship starting that summer. So here I was, 22, fresh out of college, and I swapped my beard for a mustache because I was a professional man now, ready to take on the world and whatever teaching was going to throw at me. Through through HTF, I was placed at Leadership Public Schools in Richmond, California. I had no real desire to move to California, I didn't know much about it, but I did know that LPS was a good school to start off as a new teacher, and so I figured this was the place for me. But year one was stressful, and I know that it's stressful for everyone for so many different reasons, but for me, it just took such a toll. In my first year, I had no positive relationships with students. It was incredibly difficult and tense every time that I was in the classroom. I'm such a relationships-oriented person that this was honestly jarring for me. Working with students, I would have to have meetings after school, during lunch with other teachers just to figure out what was going on and what could I have done. Also during that first year, in the first semester, one of my co-planners had to take leave, and then the second semester, another one of my co-planners had to take leave, and it just made me take on a lot more responsibility than I was expecting, along with it just being a stressful first year. Through this experience, though, I also discovered the importance of having a real support system at school. Different teachers that I worked with, my co-planners, my classroom shares, and also just other peers really helped me get through what it meant to be a teacher, and they're the ones who helped me see my way to the end of my first school year. People say that teaching can feel like trial by fire, and I truly agree with it. My second year was nothing compared to my first year. I started off the year with incredibly positive relationships with my students. Students were ready to do the work when they were in my classroom, and they were ready to just engage with me, and I was excited to have them too. In this year, we were able to do incredible work when it came to just doing math, but also I learned about what mattered to me the most as an educator. Students learning from their mistakes, reflecting on what they've done, and working to improve themselves. Not to be perfect the first time, nor the second time, but to work towards true understanding. I also learned to see my kids for who they were, and they also saw me for who I was. We were coming into this together with just a better understanding of each other as individuals, as people, and as actors in this world, trying to just make our best way through. Year two was not only a time of growth in my classroom experience, it was also a time of growth in my professional experience. I gained better relationship with those in our charters network as well as with my own principal, really trying to advocate for the needs of students, for teachers, for myself, and for the network as a whole. It was a really great way for me to understand also where these stakeholders were coming from, as opposed to just making assumptions as to what they were doing for the needs of our students. I realized that we were all on the same team and that we were all working together to do the best for our community. And as year two was reaching its peak and I was celebrating my 24th birthday on March 12th, we learned at PD that because of COVID, we're going to go remote for 2 weeks to figure out what's going on. And then here we are, almost a year later, still sitting in front of a Zoom screen. I'm grateful now because I get to teach the math that I love. I love calculus, but not only that, I'm grateful because I get to work with these incredible students. Students who, despite all of the difficulties that are happening in their lives right now, are coming together to learn math, to work together with me to make some really great things happen. The other thing that I'm really excited about is that a lot of these students are the students I've been working with for the past 2 years, formerly as their geometry, then pre-calculus, and now their calculus teacher. And so just to see what they can do, how much they've grown, and how well they're going to do on this upcoming exam is making me so excited and happy that I've been in this role, staying in education and working with these students. So, what's next for me in this teaching adventure? I don't really know. I'm excited to see what's going to happen, but I'm sitting here grateful for my time as an educator with my students, with my peers, my supervisors, and learning that I did take the right step. What's next? Who knows, but let's find out.